Hi folks, and welcome back to another fly tying video. So the fly you see in the vise is very familiar. It's a blinged up version of the Okey Dokey. So without further ado, let's get into it. The hook in the vise then is a Hanak H300 barbless hook. This one's at size 10, it's on a medium wire and it's finished in black nickel. The thread I'm going to be using today is the Nano Silk at 3/0, quite a thick white thread. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to use some of these adhesive foils, and I cut them into strips, and in the top corner of the video I'll show you how I do that. So I've got some that I have here, and what I'm going to do is just start it at the bottom of the hook, just where it bends, and just get that a start. And once you've got it started, it winds easily on. Now I like the adhesive foil as opposed to round, because it just gives a nice flatter profile. I'm going to just separate that from the fly there. I'm going to come back and come up a couple of sections so I get a nice tapered effect, like so. And then if I've done my calculations right, this should finish just before our first layer. I've just got a little bit left over, which I'll separate there. So I've got a nice bed to add some weight to the pattern. Now next thing I'm going to do is grab my tying silk. I'm going to catch in just at the head here, and 3/0's fairly thick, so I'm just going to get a bed of silk over my lead wraps just to cover up as much as possible. Now before I get to the bottom, I'm going to take my rat's tail away. I don't want any bits and bobs sticking out the bottom of the hook. So I'll just bring that round now, and I can see I've missed a few bits, but I'm not overly worried, as I will be coming back to that in a second. So in open turns this time, trying to catch in the little bits that I've missed, I'm going to come back up to approximately the thorax area of the fly. And what I'm going to add in first of all is a strip of flexi floss, which I've got here, and I'll clamp that in just in the thorax area, like so. Once I've got 2 or 3 wraps on it, I can really stretch it out. I see a little strand there, I'm just going to separate that. Stretch it out so it stays nice and flat as you're bringing it down the body. And as you can see, the more I go up and down the shank of the hook with my tying silk, the whiter the body's getting, and that's ideal. That's exactly what I want. I'm going to come down to the bottom here, and then I'm going to come again in open turns back up the body of the fly. Next thing I want to add in is my gold. Now what I'm using for the gold is some mirror tinsel. Now it's 0.4 millimeters. It's quite a delicate material, but it's not going to matter because we're going to put a bed of super glue to seal the fly, and then we're going to cover it in varnish. I'm going to catch that just probably halfway down the body on my side, and what I want to do is now start to take the time to really get a nice shape on my body. So I'll bring that down all the way down to sit beside the flexi floss, and then I'm going to just this time take some care coming back up the shank of the hook. Now because it's 3/0 and it's nano silk, it does flatten out, which can really help you get that shape that you're after. Now I did a sort of short video of the Okey Dokey, and I used plumber's PVA tape, and it's absolutely fantastic for this pattern. And I was going to use the plumber's tape on this, but could I find it? No chance. Not in the debris that is my my tying kit. Now I've just put a half hitch in there to stop it going anywhere. And what I want to do first of all is bring up the flexi. Now there is a knack to this part. What you want to do is really get it nice and taut initially. Try and keep your, and I'm not doing a good job of it, keep your gold rib out the way, the delicate stuff, keep it out the way. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a turn fairly tightly around the body, like so. And on curved hook, it's always a little bit of a pain, this, getting it started. But once it's started, the process does become a little easier. Now what I want to do is, as I come up, I'm easing the tension out of the flexi floss. I want that to become more pronounced as it comes up the fly. So I can see it now. It might be difficult because it's white on white at this point, but you can see the tension starting to come out of the flexi floss as it comes up towards the thorax area. And then I bring it all the way up, like so, until it meets my tying thread. I'm going to get a couple of, just cut it round the bobbin there, bits of thread in, and I can trap that into place. Now once I'm confident that that is trapped, I can come in with my scissors, pray it doesn't ping all the way back and I look like an idiot again. So that's worked out. I've got that nice shape and I've got that sort of rib. Now the next thing I want to do is get a few extra turns in here, and what I'm going to do is bring the gold around. Now I'm just inverting the vise so I can see what I'm doing. Now before I come up onto the body, I'm going to get a couple of turns onto the shank of the hook. And then what I want to do, if I can, is get it started, and it's proving difficult, and I want to follow, I think I've got it this time, in the gaps that the flexi floss left. So I'm coming in between them ribs. Don't want to put any tension on this gold because it is delicate. I don't want it stretching. I want it to be just nice and bright, as you see here. It's working out fairly decent. Took a little bit of fiddling, but we did get there in the end. So I've caught that in between the segments of the flexi floss rib, and I can now take away the excess gold. Now I couldn't leave it just like this, because obviously there's a big orange head, as you might have noticed at the start of the video. But not only that, the gold and the flexi floss to some degree will need protection. So I'm going to whip finish off here, and then I'm going to bring in my bright orange head. Now there's lots of different stuff you can use, but I don't think there's anything better than Glow Bright number 4 for this pattern. So I'm going to catch in just behind the eye. I'll get a few turns onto the thorax, and again I don't want this sticking out the end, so I'm going to take that away a little early. And what I want to do next is build that orange head. Now I'm just going to turn, make sure I've not got any loose orange wraps on your side. A couple of times I've just gone one turn too many, and you end up with a stray wrap over the body and it doesn't look quite right at the end. So the Glow Bright really covers up the white quite nicely. Try and keep it fairly even, and then once I'm content that I've built a neat thorax area there, I can come in with my whip finish tool 3 turns, and just gently pull that until it's tight. You want to get this as close as you can so that you've not got any tufts of glow bright sticking out. Now, the first thing for this is sealing the fly. I want to seal it before I start varnishing it. So I'm just using super glue. It's ordinary super glue, and excuse the state of the brush. It is for the bucket, and there is more super glue coming in the post. The sooner it arrives, the better. This brush is really starting to wear thin on me, and I don't like it. So I've got plenty of super glue on there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a cocktail stick just to make sure I get into all the nooks and crannies and seal this fly. Now, it's still not quite how I like it, and sometimes I can spend ages with thin coats of varnish and thin coats of resin, but today I'm only going to do the one coat. You'll know yourself when it's finished. Now, I've allowed some time for the super glue to dry, and the next part of the process is I'm going to add some UV reflective varnish. So I'll just get my brush fairly light. I don't want to go in there heavy handed, and I'm going to work all the way initially around the thorax area, and then I can just work my way down through the body. Now, you can wait for this to dry, and you can give it as many coats as you think it will require. So this is a little variation of the Okey Dokey. Will it be successful? Time will tell. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you all in the next one.